Hello and welcome to this managerial accounting video where we will look at dropping a segment decision. Here is our information that's on your handout. Exercise Inc. operates 3 divisions: weak, average, and strong. As it turns out, the weak division has the lowest operating income and the president wants to close it. Here's the most recent financial analysis for the company. Okay, typically this is the kind of information you're going to see in a problem like this where one of the divisions is showing a net loss, and the question is, should we drop this division? Should we get rid of this segment? All right, so what's required? Prepare a revised income statement showing the segment margin for each division and adding a column for the company as a whole. And then we're going to decide by how much would income change if the weak division were dropped. All right, so we're going to prepare a contribution margin income statement. So up here, let's put the 3 divisions: weak, average, and strong. And then we're going to put a column for the total of the company. Okay, so we're going to do a contribution margin income statement to start with. So we have sales, variable expenses, it looks just like the one to the right, and contribution margin. All right, then we're going to take our direct expenses, and when we deduct our direct expenses from contribution margin, we get a subtotal called segment margin. And the segment margin shows the true profitability of the segment without allocated costs. Because remember, allocated costs are not relevant because they don't go away if you eliminate one of the divisions. All right, so then we're going to have our allocated costs and then our operating income. Okay, so most of this information is going to be the same as it is here. So let's take our sales, copy them, and put them in here. And then we're going to sum up the weak, average, and strong to get our total sales for the company, $970,000. Let's do the same thing with our variable expenses. Write down the variable expenses that we have before. Sum up our variable expenses to get the total for the company. All right, contribution margin is always going to be sales minus our variable expenses, and that will work all the way across. Next, we're going to take our direct expenses as they're given to us here, and let's put those into our income statement. We're going to add up all of our direct expenses to get the total for the company. All right, finally, we're going to subtract our direct expenses from our contribution margin to get our segment margin. So this is equal to 70 minus the 30. And then we'll get our segment margin all the way across. Okay, notice we're stopping there at the segment margin when we do a segmented income statement. Okay, so this really is not this is just a regular line because we're going to subtract here. Okay, actually this is no line at all because we're going to subtract. We're going to take the 195 and we're going to take the total of all of our allocated costs. So this is equal to 50,000 plus 50,000 plus 60,000, and that's the total of our allocated costs. Our operating income is equal to the 195 minus the 160. Okay? Now, if you add up your operating income over here, let's just sum those 3 up. You're going to see it didn't change. These 2 numbers are the same, right? The total operating income is the same here and here. What's changed is the format of our income statement. This shows us the true profitability of all of these divisions because the allocated costs are not included in there. All right? Okay, so now we're ready to answer part B by how much would income change if the weak division were dropped. Well, what would happen if the weak division were dropped? We would lose 40,000 in segment margin. So let's answer that question. If the weak division were dropped, income would decrease by 40,000. So if you were asked to make a decision about whether or not you should drop that segment, your answer would be no, because the overall income of the company is going to decrease by $40,000. Okay, that's the end of our dropping a segment video. I hope you find it helpful in your studies.